Welcome back to Retro Wednesday at the Tide Hangar. Today I want to talk to you about why we have so many retro, remakes, reboots, rehashes, and not new franchises. Yes, there are a few new franchises, but not that many. When I have this conversation with most people, they automatically say kids just don't like toys, they like video games. Yes, that's a small part of it, but there's a lot more to talk about coming up. The first thing I want to talk about is the focused media. And back in the 80s, there were only a couple of channels that showed cartoons or the type of media that kids would want to watch that would be associated with the toy line. And they would show these shows, this programming, from about 6 in the morning to 9 in the morning, and then 3 to 5 in the afternoon. And then, of course, we had the wonderful Saturday mornings. And that was very focused because you knew for a fact that there would be the vast majority of the kids watching during this time frame. As time went on, they started having more channels like Cartoon Network and Boomerang, and they were more dedicated. This took away from that focused time frame that the media would be in front of the kids. You didn't know for sure something that you made would be in front of the vast majority of kids anymore once this started. Entering into the 2000s, you started to get discs in the mail from Netflix. You could sort of rent through the mail, and so you can start watching more of what you want. And I don't know how many people even know about the whole Netflix disc thing, but nowadays there are so many more options for streaming on demand. It's almost mind-blowing. It's a shotgun approach at what you're going to watch. That's why I let my wife pick for us. This leads us into the deregulation of the cartoons in the 80s. Basically, all of the cartoons got turned into 30-minute commercials, technically 22-minute commercials, and a lot of people didn't like that. There was a giant pushback against that, but that whole debate is almost entirely irrelevant today. It seems like this day and age, we are more culturally accepting the fact that almost every form of media is selling you something in one way, shape, or form. But not only were these TV shows technically commercials for a toy line, they were extremely entertaining, and some of them hold up to this day. With my background in marketing, I love amazing commercials, ways to sell your product in a different way. And commercials do not sell products if they're not entertaining. TV shows do not sell if they're not entertaining. And I always ask the age-old question, when I see a bad commercial, where's the beef? So during the 80s era, people put their heart and soul into these toy franchises, into the media, into the cartoons, the television shows, and the movies. And it shows, and it pays off and transcends generations. See, this day and age, these companies know that there is way too much risk with newer, unproven, unestablished properties or franchises. So they continue to go with the old, tried and true, tested toy lines, media, and all of that. But let's look at a couple that are new. Looking at a couple of modern day franchises that have made their way to the toy aisle. One has done moderately well, and the other one has not done well at all. We're talking about Fortnite and Overwatch. Now, Fortnite is doing a lot better than Overwatch on the toy aisle. That game is free to play. You can download that game and play it for free, and so the barrier to entry is very low. That is a very smart marketing tactic. I love that idea. Then again, of course, they try to get you to buy costumes for your characters that cost $10 a costume, and the kids want to get a new costume every day, it seems like. So I guess it is an ingenious marketing tactic that can add up very quickly. Overwatch, on the other hand, has a high barrier of entry. You have to buy the game, and when it's new, it's $60. Then the price goes down to like $40. You can get a used one maybe for $20, but it costs money. And Fortnite's free, Overwatch costs. But let's look at Fortnite. One thing about Fortnite is that they do rely on a lot of past franchises. Just looking at this picture, you see a lot of stuff in here that is familiar, even if you have nothing to do with the game. They have retro elements designed into each one of these costumes, and that is part of how they did it. Look at the Ralphie bunny costume on the right. Like anyone that has seen A Christmas Story knows what that is. We have a Firefly from G.I. Joe mock right here, and other elements of a lot of characters just in one of their series of figures. Another thing about Fortnite is that they are tuned in to pop culture. Take, for instance, this Turk dance. And this is just, I guess, one guy's take on the Running Man. I guess, I don't know much about dances. But they copied his dance to a T, and it's one of those interesting things that makes this game so popular with kids these days. And I guess everybody that plays it, they have all these elements of retro in it. I know, Scrubs isn't retro, but it's one example that I found. I find myself liking the designs of the Overwatch characters and figures far more than the Fortnite characters and figures. But then again, I'm not attached to either one of these properties. And so for that, this day and age, for the most part, a toy line can't survive on its merit alone. It has to be dependent on the media, which kind of goes back to the same thing in the 80s. But one thing that is proven is that companies would rather bet on a sure thing, or on something with a better outlook. Instead of gambling on a new property, why not go with something that you know? This leads into my next point of catering to collectors. It seemed like for the longest time, a lot of these companies basically didn't cater to collectors. Yes, we understand the toy market, the toy aisle is always going to be there for kids. But collectors of these items are the ones that are spending the vast majority of the money. The one is supporting the companies. And finally, the companies are going to support the collectors. These retro lines are not only a big hit and popular, but they're proving to be popular at a higher price point. Vastly higher price point, and yet people are paying them because they're such strong properties. At the same time, there's budget options coming from older franchises, and it's all of the companies taking part in the retro rehashes and remakes and reissues. And they're making them better using modern day technology, which is great. Sometimes collectors ask for things specifically, and other times, well, they don't know they want it till it's made. With all that's going on in 2020, so many new projects have been pushed back. Movies and shows that were expected to get released. In this day and age, we're seeing more of a rehash of retro than ever. We're actually seeing the retro getting watched more than ever. We're seeing Hasbro launch a new toy line. And I'm sure the plan all along was to coincide with the new movie, the new Snake Eyes movie release. Now that movie has been pushed back, but it's still coming, it's still on the way, we're still going to get the movie. But with the going-ons this year, it's not hitting the original release date. So Hasbro's actually putting out the original cartoon on YouTube, and they're going to sell the toy line based solely from the old 1980s cartoon, and that is marketing genius. That's amazing, but it shows the power of the 80s and power of retro. If done right, Hasbro can turn G.I. Joe into the largest franchise of 2021, mark my words. But the retro rehashes, reissues will never end. There are so many more franchises out there that need to get rebooted, that are going to get rediscovered. As with everything, if the new franchises that are everything old is new again and rebooted are done right, it will be a success. And you got to remember, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. Let me know what you think about this whole topic and discussion in the comments below, like and subscribe, and Tidarium Hanger out.